some technical difficulties today, and also was running late to begin with. I was trying to cram way too much into, well, this is like a very common thing for me. I have been, I very commonly underestimate how long it's going to take for me to get things done, especially when it comes to work. And I'm always like, okay, I have just enough time to do this, and then it ends up taking me like 15 minutes longer to do, which is exactly what happened today. 15 minutes seems to be like the very common time frame that I underestimate. So I'll be like, oh yeah, I can get this done in 15 minutes, and it'll take me 30 minutes, etc. So I'm not quite sure how to work through that. I think, you know, one thing I've tried is to plan for that, but if I plan for it, I'll still end up doing it. Like, I'll give myself an hour, even though something might just need to take 45 minutes, and it'll take me an hour and 15 minutes. So I don't know, but today we had the solar eclipse. Curious how many of you watched it and got your glasses on. I did not end up doing that. I did kind of watch it, but not in like any of the cool ways that I feel like other people did. I didn't get the glasses. I actually didn't even know that the eclipse was happening until like maybe a few weeks ago, and it felt like no one was really talking about it, and it didn't seem like that big of a deal. And then like in the past week, everybody's talking about this eclipse. I know multiple people, but someone close to me who traveled to go to Kentucky to watch it, and I'm like feeling like some FOMO. I haven't even talked to that person yet, and I'm very curious how it went. But you know, you're seeing posts on social media of people raving about how great it was to see it in totality, and I didn't even like actually. I didn't even actually like, because I wasn't wearing the glasses, like get like a great view of it. I did the pinhole trick. So I just like poked a hole in a piece of cardboard and held it up to the ground and sat outside and just like observed like what it was like. So I don't know. I'm feeling a little sad that I wasn't better prepared, but life has just felt a little crazy. I feel like it's one of those times where I don't feel like I have enough time. I remember I went through this like exactly a year ago. And so this time I'm feeling less stressed about it. I've gotten a lot better at like going with the flow and like not worrying so much, but it definitely feels like an ongoing pressure of me to just I don't know, like try to get enough done. Like planning has just been challenging and been feeling overwhelmed. I think I talked about that in last week's video, just a lot of overwhelm and taking on too many projects, and feeling like a lot of the things that I've taken on aren't going entirely as planned. And so that was something that I wanted to talk about today. But I'm also gonna do not quite a mukbang, but this will be partially me eating. I'm trying to prop up my phone. It's not the best place for it. Since I haven't been very good with time management, I also have not made any time to eat. And I didn't have to make time to shop, so I don't know how well. Hopefully you guys can hear me, but I need to put it on this angle for a minute. It's like looks like I'm looking down to you, which technically I am, but I basically have not planned well enough for food, and so I don't have much to eat at home. And the only thing I've had today are 2 cups of tea. One of them was a matcha latte with some macadamia nut milk, which was great. And because I'm basically doing this video running into something else, you know, like a lot going on today, I'm eating one of these 2, and I can't decide which one I feel like. This is my favorite, but this tends to be more filling, so I just made up my mind. I'm going with this. I'm sensitive to legumes, so this doesn't always completely agree with my stomach, but sometimes you just gotta make do. So I just boiled some water. I'm gonna put it in here and let it steep for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna eat it while I'm hanging out with you guys, because like I said, I gotta run to something else. I may even like do my hair and makeup while I'm talking to you, even though I'm tired, so we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, the pad thai is super good. I love these soups, are so great. I use them for traveling a lot. Just or when I'm low on time and just want something quick and inexpensive and satisfying, these soups are amazing. Green Dragon, if you watch the recording of this video, once this is done, you'll see me talking about the eclipse. But so technically I didn't watch it. I was actually supposed to, no wait, I mean technically I kind of watched it. I don't know. Like I said earlier, and sorry, I'm all over the place right now. So much to think about. But I was going to go to this like eclipse tea ceremony today with Jason and one of his friends, who's kind of a mutual friend, and I just couldn't get up early. Like I wanted to go to bed super early last night. I thought I was going to go to bed at like 9 or 10 p.m., which is really early for me, and I ended up staying up till 2 a.m. I don't even know how these things happen, and so getting up at like 9 a.m. did not sound appealing to me at all. I got up at like 10:10 and pulled myself out of bed and then sat outside without any eclipse glasses and kind of watched the eclipse. And I just kind of feel sad because it's like, you know, eclipses like that rarely happen. I think this is like one of the first times in the 100 years, I think, on its specific path. So I feel a little disappointed, but this is the thing about life, is there's a lot of things that we want to do, and we can't get upset for not doing things if other things have a priority. So I've just had a lot of other priorities, and I've been just feeling overwhelmed, and like, for me, a lot of the personal side of things is kind of like spur of the moment. And I would have traveled to see the eclipse had I planned for this a lot earlier. So I'm just trying not to like feel bad that I missed it. Right now I am line drying some of my clothing. I'm traveling on Wednesday. And so today is a little bit nuts because I have to record the first episode of my new web series, which I've told you guys a bit about, and it's due tomorrow. So speaking of last minute, I've really procrastinated on this project because I've been overwhelmed and feeling like in a bit of a perfectionist mentality. So thank you to all of you that filled out the survey. That was super helpful. You really helped me narrow it down. So I am going to be doing this series about what to eat as a vegan, and I brainstormed with my friend Michelle, who is behind the brand Thug Kitchen, and what's really cool about Michelle is that she actually doesn't have a ton of vegan friends. She is vegan herself, and she's not around a lot of vegans. I'm the opposite. I have like at least, I would say like probably 75% of the people in my life are vegan, which is awesome, and I know kind of rare, but it skews my perspective of things. So, you know, I'm around all these vegans all the time. We're like-minded, and I don't learn as much about how to help non-vegans, so I really have to, like, you know, make an effort to understand that, and really I want to help more people go vegan. And even though, you know, as I talked about, like, the environmental side of things is very important to me too. Like right now, I think like helping people with veganism it feels to me a little bit more important because veganism also has the environmental benefits. So whereas like if you're an environmentalist and doing good things for the environment, you're not necessarily doing good things for animals or your health. So I'm starting with veganism, got this whole series, and really feel like my target audience is new vegans or people that want to go vegan or people that are vegan and want to help other people go vegan and are looking for more resources. So I'd love some feedback actually, because I'm going to go film this today. I'm going to do a number of videos in grocery stores, and I'm going to go to grocery stores that aren't like that maybe people shop at that aren't vegan. So for example, when I talk to non-vegans, they often shop at these kind of chain stores that I don't go to. So I go to the natural food stores, and I go to Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, but the people that I know that aren't vegan, they shop at stores like Vons and Ralph's and Safeway and Walmart and all of that. So I'm going to start by doing a few episodes of this series in those stores, and I'm going to go in and talk about like how to shop and what to swap out for, how to find vegan things, read labels, all of that. And to me, like, this feels a little nerve-wracking because one thing I'm concerned about is like, is this content useful? And are people going to enjoy it? It seems like people really want it, but it's not something that I would watch, so, or maybe I would have, I don't know. I guess it just always feels like such a risk when you're doing something new, and I guess I just feel nervous about doing risky things. I do know that channel. You know, the thing is like, I also tend to get into comparison mentality, so I try not to watch a ton of other channels because I'll compare myself to them so much. And I still have like this kind of competitive edge where, it's so weird when my camera does this. When I come in from being out in the sun, it like, there we go. I think that's going back to natural. Anyways, actually this happened to me last night. I found out that there's another vegan content creator. Isn't it weird, the filter happening right now? Anyways, it takes a second for my phone to adjust, so I look like a cartoon right now. Found out there's this other vegan content creator who's now like teaching business skills, monetization skills, branding, all that, and that's like huge passion and focus of mine right now. And I just like felt really like kind of depressed about it last night, and I found out about this like right before I went to bed, and I started like comparing myself so much and getting concerned that like it was basically like a competitive thing where I was like, oh, well, look at what she's doing better than me, or how many followers she has, and maybe people are gonna like wanna work with her and not me. And like I just kind of was in this like scarcity mentality and fear mentality and comparison, and it was just like a really negative, unpleasant state to be in. And so I haven't quite learned how to prevent myself from having those thoughts, and so one of the things I do is just try not to get triggered by it. You know, it's like almost like an ignorance is bliss type of a thing, where it's like I don't need to know what other people are doing all the time. It's very helpful, but sometimes when we look at other people too much, if we compare ourselves to them, it actually hinders us, and we start to think like, oh, well, I shouldn't do that because somebody else is doing it, or I'm not as good as that person, so why should I even bother? And this is such a common thing with social media right now. So I fall into that too. And even though like when I coach other people, I'll say, you know, I'll always say like there's room for everybody and there's no such thing as competition and all that. Like it's very easy to coach other people, but for me, like I still am susceptible to that. So I then have to like coach myself or go to my friends who like know how to talk me through these things. And luckily I have a few that were really good about supporting me through these emotions. But it also brings up like my own self-worth issues. You know, it's funny too, like one of my new students is a psychotherapist, and she was telling me all about her business and how she, you know, helps people work through personal development, emotional therapy, all of these things. And I was like, wow, this is so great. And then in one of our conversations, I heard her talking about how she, like, kind of bringing up her own self-esteem issues and fears. And I was like, wow, like, I almost didn't expect that from her, because she helps other people work through their things. And this is so common for therapists, I feel like, is that they struggle with things that they teach other people. And so I try not to beat myself up for my personal challenges, because I can even get into this mentality of like, who am I to teach people something that I'm still susceptible to? But it actually helps me to teach other people, because then I've learned the tools and I can step back and examine things and say, all right, like, what would I advise somebody else? How can I advise myself on this? And that awareness has helped me tremendously. But the feeling doesn't always go away as quickly as I want it to. So it was just a little tough for a little while last night when I was learning about what this other person was doing. And, you know, I think that that's what I have to overcome, is that just because someone else is doing it doesn't mean that there isn't room for you to do it. And the truth is that everybody, you know, is attracted to something different, right? And so if somebody else is doing the exact same thing as you, you could still technically do it, because you might say it differently, talk about it differently, show it differently, all of these different things, right? So I guess my point is like, I have to overcome that with this new video series, because I'm thinking like, oh, like, do we really need more content about how to eat as a vegan? Well, I think so. I absolutely believe so, because if we had enough information about veganism and inspiration and all of that, maybe more people would be vegan. But it's still such a niche thing, and we have so many more people to reach. So, you know, I feel like it's a responsibility to do something and to keep talking about it, even if it's reiterating the same thing, because somebody might see my video and have never seen anything else like it before, and I just happen to be the person that is reached. So that's my conclusion, and wish me luck. I've got a lot of you know, resistance that's coming up to me, for me, I mean, and I just got to push through it. You know, this new series is such a cool opportunity, and I'm trying not to be attached to the outcome, but I really hope that it really like results in something cool for me and my career. But if it doesn't, it's fine. It's all just an experiment. And I can't wait to tell you guys about it, because I would love your support in watching and sharing the content. And it won't be on YouTube, by the way. It'll be somewhere else. And I think I can tell you about it in a week. I'm almost positive that that's like when it'll be public. So we'll see. It's just so interesting, like, how many things can come up. And I see this in my students too. All these excuses. It's resistance. There's a great book called The War of Art, and it's all about how resistance shows up in our lives, especially creatively, and how it's like we have this kind of like a devil character that sits around at our shoulder and tells us that we're not good enough, or not to do something, or all of this stuff that comes up, all this negative self-talk. And it gets in the way of us being our best selves and doing great things in our lives. And one of the characteristics of resistance is that resistance doesn't want us to change. Wants things to be the same. And that's a very common thing in the world, is that change is very hard for some people. It happens to be very easy for me for the most part, but the negative self-talk will keep me from like really doing my very best at things. So this opportunity is cool because it's really pushing me out of my comfort zone. Like, I feel very nervous about this. You know, I'm gonna go film it tonight, and I'm like, why did I leave this to the last minute? It's gonna look horrible. You know, I'm gonna feel rushed. I'm not giving myself enough time to work on it. But I've had weeks and weeks and weeks to work on this, and I haven't worked on it because I felt overwhelmed with other things, and because I had all this resistance and fear. And so what happens for me is I'll overthink things, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm too exhausted. I don't want to think about this anymore.
deadlines work very well for me because I don't have a choice. Like, I committed to doing this project. And so now I'm just like, I don't know. The hardest thing for me right now is just feeling like what I'm going to create is not going to be good enough. And that's the ongoing thing, is I have like my own versions of what greatness is, and I feel like I don't ever measure up to the ideas of greatness. And then it's very easy for me to notice other people's greatness. That's why I think I'm a good coach. Like, I really see the greatness in like everybody else except for myself. So I love coaching other people because I have a gift for like seeing other people's gifts and seeing how to help and seeing their paths. But like, for me, I have this ongoing challenge with my self-worth. Thank you, Yadi. That's very sweet. And it stems back to so many things. Like, I think just the way that I was raised is I had a very critical mother. And so she was critical about my body. She was critical about my choices, the way, like everything. And to this day, she's still very critical. I'm never quite, and same with my dad. Both my parents are actually very supportive. My dad, both of them in their own individual ways. And like, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but the desire to like please your parents, it's so interesting. And so I know I'm an adult, and I know that like my parents' opinions like don't really matter, but unfortunately my parents are very hard to please. And so it's so rare that my parents like are the types to be like, wow, that's so great. Like, I can't tell you how many times in my careers, I should say, since I've switched careers, but my parents would just be like, I'd tell them something exciting and they'd be like, cool. You know, or like some big life change, personal, professional, any of that stuff. And so I think I always had this mentality that like everything that I did in my life was like mediocre or like not that exciting. And so I would find myself, especially in high school and college, like I think more so high school, like I would always get B's. I felt like a very average person. I felt like my work was average, and I still see that coming up. And it really holds me back a lot because there's so many things that I would love to do, but I'm always afraid of being seen as average. And it's like I've been conditioned into that. Gen Z asked if my parents were overachievers. My mom, I think, is an overachiever. Not so much my dad. Not that I can think of. It makes more sense for my mom. My mom has a lot of self-worth issues, especially about her body. So she was very critical of me because she was critical of her own body. My dad, I don't know, my dad's like probably the most successful person in his family. He went to Harvard Law School, he went to MIT, like very intelligent, super intelligent. And you know, my parents are still together. They've got a very happy marriage, and they live in a beautiful home with, you know, like I grew up more as I get older, I just like recognize like how incredible my childhood was, and like the town I grew up in, and the area, like the literal just property. Like you guys might see this, and you probably have seen this in past videos when I visit my family. Like my parents live on like 8 acres of beautiful property, and it's like just absolutely gorgeous, and this really nice home and horses, and like, you know, I had a lot of privileges growing up, and so my parents created great lives for themselves. A lot of that though stems from my mom. My dad's like very humble. He doesn't need a lot of things. Like he could, if he wasn't with my mom, he'd probably live in like a very modest home or even apartment. Like he's fine. Like we have that a lot in common. My mom though, I feel like maybe is always out to prove something, and like always wanting the best. Like she's really into status, and she's into money, and she's into like looking good. So I had a lot of pressure growing up. She wanted me to like be a really beautiful physically, and you know, not to be overweight. So there was always a lot of pressure on me to like be skinny, and you know, to my hair to look good, and like my clothing to look good. Like that's always been so important to my mom. And so I'm more like my dad in a lot of ways, where like there's a lot of, I'm not really that concerned with superficial stuff, but because of the way I was raised, I like grew up feeling like if I didn't look good, like I wouldn't be accepted, right? And so that lingers with me a lot. And then, but the thing with my dad is my dad's so intelligent and I guess like a high achiever, like in school and stuff. So, you know, for him, like good grades are really important. I never like had phenomenal grades. I was a very average student, or maybe slightly above average. And like, I don't know, it's just so interesting though. Like when you're raised in those environments with parents like that, you know, it just really bleeds into your adult life too. So it's one thing to recognize this. You know, I've been through therapy, I study personal development, coach other people. Like I'm very self-aware, but that doesn't mean that I don't carry around like these issues. So a lot of it is just taking it day by day and believing in yourself and trusting and doing things anyways, like doing things despite the fear. Like this, again, this video series project, the resistance I'm facing, I'm like, why should I even bother with this? Like, it's not going to be good. No one's going to care. Like, all of those thoughts keep creeping up at me. But then what motivates me is, this is like going to make me cry. It's like those of you that do support me and show up for my live videos and fill out my surveys and like, you know, watch these. You know, there's hundreds of you every week that watch my videos, and maybe hundreds doesn't seem like a lot of people online because, like, you know, there's all these ideas of like, oh, if you don't have thousands or millions of views or subscribers, like you're insignificant online. But you know, you guys are so consistent and part of my life, and I know that people want this. Like the people that filled out the survey, there was like, I think like 180 people that filled out the survey. And like 180 people want this video series from me. You know, they asked for all this. And then the percentage of that like asked for, the majority of people, I don't know, it was probably like 50 or 60 people, the majority. I don't know how it works out. When I look at the survey, it has like all the, you know, the bar charts that show me like what the most popular thing is. Like, I think it was like 50 or 60 people wanted me to do content about what to eat. And the thing is those are 60 people that want that. That's a lot of people. And I would be doing those people a disservice if I didn't do this content. So as much as my ego like wants my videos to be popular and wants to generate income from that, like there's also part of me that just really, most of me I should say, that really just wants to help people and doesn't want to let those people down, like people like you that really want and need this stuff. And so it's not even about me, and that's what keeps me going, is that so I have like these self-worth issues that have been lingering since I was a kid, because the way that the environment that I was raised in, and I'm sure many of you can relate. Like again, like I had a really great childhood relatively. Like my parents were still together, very happy family unit. I was raised with a lot of privilege. Like I relatively like have like no challenges like compared to all these horrible things that happen. And I'm so aware of that and the life that I've set up for myself, and even the privilege of being, you know, born into my family, and the color of my skin and like my sexuality. Like I'm like not struggling. I'm not working against a lot of things. Like I chose to be vegan, and so like the challenges I face with veganism are still choices that I've made, but a lot of the things that I didn't choose are privilege, and I recognize that. But it's all relative. Like every human being is suffering somehow relative to what they've experienced in their life. And so my suffering is like the self-worth things that so many of us go through, privileged or not, right? Like self-worth stems from so many things. And I am willing to fight through those things and break through those things to make a difference because I want to help so many people, and that's just what pushes me forward. And I'm like, you know what, I gotta just get over this. And so what if I make like lame videos and like only few hundred people see them and like them? Like, that's great, because that means that those few hundred people, their lives are impacted. Over the weekend I spoke at this event called the Real Tastemakers, and there were like 90 people in the room. And it feels like so many people, like 90 people sitting in front of you, 90 people. Like, there wasn't even enough time for me to talk to everybody. I only got to talk to like 10 of those 90. You know, like if I had tried to speak to every single person in that room, I would have been there for days. So, and I mean like a real conversation, not just saying hi. And so like, that's the interesting thing about the web, is we get our perspective so skewed. It's almost like this lack of gratitude. You know, when I work with brands, for example, you know, they want to devalue how much they want to pay me because I only reach X amount of people. And I'm like, really? Like, do you know how much of an impact you make just in that small amount of people? The lack of gratitude, you know, like I had this woman that I've known for a long time. You know, I told her what my rate is to promote her event that she's doing. And she's like, well, that's a really high rate for like that amount of people. And I was like, I'm not going to tell you guys the specifics, but it's actually a lot of people. And so we get this skewed idea of that. And like everybody's doing the math about, you know, the percentages and all this stuff. And you're like, but you have the potential to change someone's life. Just because they don't share it or they don't buy something or whatever it is. Like, a lot of you, I've learned over time, are very quiet. You don't always say what you're thinking. Like, some of you I've heard from years. Like, every once in a while I'll get a comment from someone. They're like, I've been watching you for 5 years and this is the first time I've commented. That doesn't mean that I'm not impacting them. That just means they haven't said anything about it. I know I've talked about this before. But it just like, it stirs within me. So I have to say these things to myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't show up every Monday to talk to you guys, and every Friday for my other channels, and I wouldn't be doing this new project. And I don't know, I guess the biggest thing that I have to overcome today, pronto, is to not have a defeatist mentality before I've even started. And that's like what I've been sitting in. I am, you know, all these fears, and my content's gonna suck. Who am I to even judge it? I'm not the one watching my content, you know? It's not for me. It's for you guys. And I never thought that you guys would watch 30-minute uncut, unedited videos. This channel has blown my mind. This is my favorite channel because I just get to be myself and talk and interact with you guys, and you listen even if my videos are 40 minutes long. And I'm finally starting to understand it, because now there's a few people or one person on YouTube right now who I'll watch like her long videos, and I love it. I love just listening. There's just something about her. I want to see her talk. I don't care. I don't care if she's eating on camera, babbling, complaining. Evie, just wait. Evie's, speaking of complaining, she wants food too. She's like, I smell your food. Well, I'm gonna wrap things up because I only have like an hour left of daylight and I can't procrastinate any longer. But let me read the comments, because a bunch of comments have come in live and I really appreciate it. Vegan Goonie said a lot today, asking to do a grocery outlet visit. I will. There's a newer grocery outlet near me. I probably won't do it for that series, the new series, because grocery outlet isn't like super accessible across the country. I'm trying to focus in on places that like at least similar to stores that anybody could go to. So we'll see about that. Yadi, I really appreciate your comments. Zigzag said, "You're not at all average. You inspire so many. Maybe feeling not good enough is your way of wanting to continuously improve and up the bar and strive for something more." Absolutely. That's the plus side of not feeling good enough, is that it pushes you to like be your very best. It's just that I never feel like my best. Okay, every once in a while I do, but it's rare. Gen Z said, "It's a lot. Are you kidding? I have a blog with maybe 2 followers. You're the part of the reason I started the blog." See, like, that's the thing. Like, thank you for reminding me that, because I know what it was like to have 2 people read my blog, and it's just so important to, like, get back to that mindset. Vegan Goonie said, "Whatever you create, people will watch and love. Just create something you're proud of." I think the word proud, though, is like, I don't usually feel proud about my content. There's a few things I've done video-wise where I'm proud of, but it's rare. Vegan Goonie said, "I personally have purchased 10 plus items you've recommended. You influence my daily life quite often." You're so sweet. And that's like, hearing that too is so helpful, because I don't always know who's buying things, or, you know, it's rare unless you guys are buying something that I sell. I don't know. Like, I can see the numbers of how many people have purchased like my affiliate recommendations, but that's just a number. To me, like, I wish there was a way to like track that. Like, how cool would it be if it was like the average viewer purchases X amount of things that I recommend? Like, maybe brands will be less concerned with like how many people are seeing things and realize the impact of it, you know? Okay, if you missed it earlier, I'm eating this split pea soup from Dr. McDougall's. It's one of my favorite things to eat when I'm really busy or traveling. Because all you do is pour hot water in it. And so it's great. I bring this on the airplane sometimes. I'm traveling in a couple days. Although I have heard a bunch of times, and I think it's the case, like, airplane water is like really disgusting. Like, it's unfiltered, or like it like sits in tank. Like, it's made me very uncomfortable. Apparently, the coffee on airplanes, even hot water on airplanes, is like really bad. So now I'm like, I don't know if I want to bring these on airplanes anymore unless I like know there's filtered water. I don't know. You do the best that you can. Like, that's the thing. When I fly, I try in general to never drink bottled water. But on flights, what I'll do is I'll bring my reusable water bottle. I'll try to fill up at a filtered water station, or I'll go to like one of the fast food restaurants and fill up like at a soda machine, but who knows where that water is coming from. Or then I'll go to a fountain if necessary, which is usually unfiltered. And then I'll fill up on the plane. And so I'm saving plastic, but like, what the heck am I putting in my body? It's so frustrating. Like, these compromises. I was talking to someone recently who's kind of like transitioning to a healthier, natural lifestyle. And he had like this line of personal care products, and he's like, "Yeah, I realize like these aren't very good for me. They have parabens in them." And I said, "Well, why don't you throw them out?" And he's like, "Because I don't want to waste them, and they're almost done anyways." And I was like, it's such a conflict, you know? Like, who wants to waste anything? Again, like, being so privileged, we have the opportunity to waste things. We have the opportunity to throw things away, not eat everything on our plate. Like, all of these, there's so much waste. But what about if that thing is causing you long-term health, you know, susceptibility? Like, what if this could cause cancer? You know, like, once you find out the truth, shouldn't you just get rid of it? Like, same thing with food. Like, if you switch to veganism, are you going to throw out meat and dairy? And then I think, well, just give it to somebody else, donate it. But then you're donating to them eating that stuff. So it's like, and then you're like disrespecting the animal who died or like sacrificed their well-being for you to have these products. Doesn't make sense to throw it away. It's such a crazy thing. I actually would love to research that more and try to get some more perspective on it, because I don't fully know the answer. There's a lot of times we have to weigh out the pros and cons, and it's often just up to, you know, however your gut feeling is on something. I'm going to wrap things up, but I did see a few more comments, and I will also say my stomach is already gurgling from this. It's so annoying that I'm sensitive to legumes. I just want to eat split pea soup. It tastes so good. But speaking of effects, my body is not happy right now. Stomach-wise, I should say. The rest of me feels great. Like, this is like relatively awesome. All that's in here is split peas, onions, potatoes, carrots, garlic, peas, and parsley, yeast extract, potato starch, salt, spices, lemon peel. Like, there's barely anything in there. There's no oil. There's probably a I don't know what the sodium count. Sodium's probably pretty high. I don't pay that much attention to sodium because I don't really eat a lot of salty stuff. But, yeah. Sodium does look kind of high. Anyways, this is just such a good thing on the go. It's just, I'm annoyed right now because now my stomach is all gurgle schmurgle, as Jason would say. All right, let me read a few more comments, then I'm going to go and record the first episode of this new series. So, Vegan Goonie said, I know that you have integrity of your recommendations. So many people out there just recommend whatever company paid the most. Oh, that's a good call, Riyadi. There's small water filters you can buy at REI. Certainly. Yeah. But when it comes to like boiling water for something like this, I don't know what you would do in that case. I don't think you can run boiling water through a water filter. Lizzie, sorry. I have these exact conflicting thoughts daily. Vegan Goonie said, thanks for all you do. Love your content, Eco-Vegan Pal, etc. Can't wait to get my member goodies. Oh, I can't wait to send those out to you. I'm going to be sending those next month. I might actually wait, now that I'm saying it out loud, I might wait till the end of September to send them to you because I'm going to the Natural Products Expo in Baltimore, which I'm so excited about every year, and they always like send me a ton of stuff, and oftentimes what I pack in those boxes are things I get from the Natural Products Expo. So it'll benefit you to wait another month, and they will be extra good. I'm really excited about sending those out. Thank you for the hug, Zigzag. And Ted said, is spring water much better than filtered water? It depends. You know, like water comes from all sorts of crazy sources, and there's things like minerals and all of that in there. So it's kind of a complex thing, to be honest. But I found over time, like, filtered water is really important to me unless you're getting it directly from a natural spring and you know it's safe to drink. But I also think that hydration is super important. And Vegan Goonie, are you the one that has the Gooness bag, by the way? That would actually be kind of cool if you were, because your username is Goonie, and it kind of sounds like Gooness. Or do we meet at another point of Expo East? Let me know. Anyways, you know, the thing is hydration is super important. So I feel like we should be drinking more water, period. And I've heard some people say, like, drinking water is the most important thing, and in terms of all the other factors, you know, then it just gets better and better. But the problem is most people don't drink enough water. It's crazy. Another person I know right now, I've been trying so hard to convince them to drink more water because he has dry skin and dandruff, and he rarely drinks water. And I'm like, wow, there must be so many people that don't drink water. And I don't even think I drink enough water, and I drink every single morning, every night. You know, I don't really drink anything else. You know, I'll have like sparkling water, which still kind of counts. But anyway, so water is super important, period. Then it's important for it to be filtered and all of that. Oh, right. Yes, okay, thanks for the reminder, Goonie. There was someone, it was so amazing last year, who speaking of making a difference, I did a promotion of this bag. This is like one of my favorite vegan bags ever. I haven't been using it as much lately because I have another bag that I love, and it's like nice and small and petite. But this is like if I need to put a ton of stuff in a bag, this is my favorite. And someone who watched my videos bought this exact bag in a different color, and I ran into her at the Natural Products Expo, and she like started crying when she met me. She was so excited, and I was like, wow, like, you know, it's just one of those moments that I impacted her to get something in her life, but she also was just so excited to meet me that she was moved to tears. And I was like, you know, it's things like that that are really great reminders. And yes, I remember now, Vegan Goonie. I really wish that my parents kept that bunny. But hopefully he's happy and healthy and thriving at wherever he is now, at the back of that farm. I think he's still there. I don't know. I'm just going to pretend that he's really happy and healthy and hope that that's the reality. Okay, I really got to go because I got to record some video outside, and we only sadly have like probably an hour and a half left of daylight. So wish me luck. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next Monday. I will be on the East Coast. I'm so excited to be traveling. I don't know what I'll be doing next Monday or where exactly I'll be. It's very possible I'll be at my parents' house hanging out. It'll be 8 p.m. So it may be brief. Maybe I'll vlog. Somebody just asked. I don't know if I don't know. I think maybe this new series I'm doing will encourage me to start vlogging again, because it's gonna like be like vlog style in the sense that I'm using my camera and everything will be handheld. Like, I mean, I'm using my iPhone to film this new series. I'm not gonna like use any fancy equipment. So yeah, thank you everyone, and I will see you in some form or another next Monday. And I'll do my best to record. At the very least, you will see my Instagram stories, hopefully. That's one reason to be on Instagram, is because I Instagram like all these little moments from my days, almost every single day. And so there'll be a lot from my East Coast trip, I imagine. I'm going to a wedding, and I'm going to a new vegan restaurant for sure, and going to Vermont for the first time in a while. Visiting my friend's amazing property in New Hampshire. Like, I'm going to a lot of different spots there. And then in September, I'm going to be back in Boston. I'll probably go to New York City. I'm going to spend some time in Philly, which, by the way, I still have to edit this, you guys. I have some really great videos from last fall that I didn't end up editing yet, including my trip to Philadelphia. And that was such a fun trip. I'm so excited to go back to Philly. And I'll be in Baltimore, and absolutely I will do a video haul of all the stuff. I love those hauls. And maybe that'll be on the What a Vegan Eats channel. Oh my gosh. And I'm reminding myself right now that my new series could be called What a Vegan Eats. I was going to call my series Vegan Pal, but it really is kind of like What a Vegan Eats. A little bit. I don't know. Decisions. I think I'm going to stick with Vegan Pal, because that's like a huge thing now with my, the online membership and all of that. I really just want to build the Vegan Pal brand. I'm not going to call it Eco Vegan Pal. The show's going to be called Vegan Pal, but it'll be connected to Eco Vegan Pal. I just feel like for the mainstream, like the eco part might throw some people off, so I'm just going to call it Vegan Pal, and like it'll also eventually have some eco content in it. All right, I'm done rambling, procrastinating. I'm going to go. Thank you for all your support, and I'll see you very soon. Bye, guys.